You know, we're going to talk about a man that you almost know his name. And if you live in California, you absolutely know his name. But the question is, do you know who he is? Meet the man who became the world's richest and maybe its cheapest billionaire, J. Paul Getty. If you want to venture out of this video, please like, subscribe, and I want to hear your comments on this one. Oil tycoon, eccentric art collector, ruthless deal maker as a businessman, and infamously a frugal grandfather. I'm sure you guys know all about this story when his grandson was kidnapped and he refused to pay the ransom until he got a piece of ear. But also that piece of ear saved him about $14 million. We'll get to that in a moment. Born in 1892, Minneapolis, Minnesota. His father was an oil businessman. However, he became an oil tycoon, J. Paul Getty himself. Family also later on moved to Bartlesville, Oklahoma, where the oil boom was just getting started. You know, like California gold rush. This was Oklahoma oil rush. This is what it was, and that's how they were making their money. Getty grew up in a world of oil, rigs, speculation, and very high expectations. You know, that all came down from his family. Look at this. This guy not was only a very savvy businessman, but he was a highly educated businessman. He went to the Harvard Military Academy, Polytechnic High. He had brief stints at USC and Berkeley. But then he went to Oxford. You know what that tells me? That besides him loving business, he loved business with his brain, with education, which we talk about all the time and how much you should value, especially in today's day and age. That's made him one of the very few oil men in America who had an Oxford degree. Many oil men didn't. You know, they didn't have a large degree of education like this guy did. When he was 20 years old in 1916, he joined his dad. He became like his partner, his go-to man, his right-hand man. Every day he was spending it with him on the business, learning about oil, learning about commerce, and of course, learning about being a reputable individual. And that's what he was really known for, a reputable businessman. His dad died in the 1930s. His dad left him only $500,000. When we say only, well, again, if we equate it to today's money, that's still a lot of money. But compared to the $1 million he made, he only inherited about $500,000. But he turned that $500,000 to almost $6 billion. And if we equate $6 billion from the 1950s, that's when he became a billionaire, you know, until today, 2025, we're talking easy 50, 60 billion dollars. Easily, he could have been top 20 richest men in the world or in America. You know, this is outrageous, the amount of wealth he had at the time. But he had a very interesting hobby, and it was art, collecting art. He loved Michelangelo. He loved Da Vinci, you know, and he maybe even liked Machiavelli. Maybe he got a lot of his, business novice and his nuances from that book. And then in 1970s, I'm sure you guys know the story also, there was a movie about this. His grandson gets kidnapped. Everybody thinks this is a hoax at the time, okay? And maybe it was, because we never got any evidence that it wasn't. 1973, kidnappers demand $17 million. This guy, grandfather Getty, he gets pissed. He said, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that much money. You know what he did? He negotiated with them. He negotiated. Only after the boy's ear, his grandson's ear, was mailed to a newspaper, he found out about it. Then he agreed to pay $2.9 million to the kidnappers. But you know what else he did? I mean, I don't know how to categorize this type of action, because this is the first time I'm learning about this. But the ransom that he gave, the $2.9 million, part of it had to be tax written off. It was considered as charitable donation. So he was trying to get rid of, 2.9, or it wasn't entirely 2.9, but like $1.5 million, to get a tax credit on that. This guy's insane. And this is his grandson we're talking about. The other part, you know what he did? He gave it as a loan, apparently, to his son, maybe to later on write off the, interest or something. But him being that stingy and being a terrible family man, one thing he was great at was being a fantastic businessman. In 1949, he seized a deal with the Saudi government for 60 consecutive years. He got like a contract that we're going to do business together for 60 years, and that contract is kind of unbreakable. Everybody laughed at him. Everybody thought he's crazy. But just within a few years, right after that contract, you know what he did? He became a billionaire. The money that I was talking about is worth about $65 billion today. That's when he became a billionaire. Sometimes we have to understand, where is the limit? Where do we draw the limit? Where do we stop? Is it all about money? Is it all about family? But I say, if you're a good, entrepreneur and good family man, I think you can possibly balance that out. And I think that's the secret to life. Putting everything in moderation, that's the secret to life. Look at this guy's philosophy. This guy has an interesting mind. He says the beauty of art is that it outlives it. It outlives empires, it outlives men, it outlives money. And that's why, art is something that has to be collected. And that's one of the reasons he was actually known for being one of the finest art collectors in the world, and maybe until today. I mean, this guy died years ago, and we're still talking about him. You know, he was such a savvy businessman and fantastic art collector that his museums, his two museums, are world renowned. Everybody around the world just flies down to LA, go to the Getty Center or go to the Getty Villa in Malibu. I don't know if you guys have been to the Getty, but the Getty is immense. It's a large facility. Every time you go, there's different art. It's never the same. You know, they get art from all over the world. They have specific, religious or, ethnic type of parts in the museum where it's only part of that ethnicity. And you can see all type of art. I mean, it's just fantastic. That place is massive and it's exquisite. It's beautiful. But at the end, what can we learn from this guy? He's a savvy, great, fantastic businessman. He was a cheap businessman, which is terrible. I think if you're a fantastic businessman, you should never be cheap. You should be very, generous with everybody, with tips, with friends, with family, with anybody. I mean, that's what else is money for? To spend it on your people. That's the purpose of it, not to keep it, to yourself. What the hell did he do afterwards? He left all that money to a foundation. I like this guy as a businessman, but I can't give him a good grade on being a family man. Having a business and having a massive wealth and having a massive reputation like he does and being one of the finest art collectors in the world, is no easy task. But I don't know how valuable all that wealth is. You don't have the right family. When you don't have the kids next to you, you don't have your brothers, your sisters, your friends, the people that love you and you love them back if they're not next to you. I don't know how much that's worth. Look at this guy's philosophy. You know what he said? Money is like manure. If you don't know what manure is like cow poop. You have to spread it around or it smells. Now, I don't know what he meant by saying spread it. Is it philanthropy? Or is it giving money to his kids or his family? Or spread it, selfishly, into other parts of businesses to make you more rich. If you want to venture out, please like, subscribe, follow. I want to hear your comments. Give me good ideas about other people you guys want to hear about.